Welcome to the My Creative Days podcast, where we will talk about all things DIY, home decor, decorating tips, and creating a beautiful home on a budget. I am hoping our time together will spark a creative idea, help you plan your next DIY, or inspire you to finally tackle that project you keep putting off. Grab your favorite cup of motivation and let's chat. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I am talking about another one of the mini courses that I have created for furniture flippers. This one I'm talking about the process of flipping. So as I've stated before, if you've caught any of the other podcasts about these mini courses, I have created one large course, but I also created these mini courses so that if there are certain areas of flipping, growing your business, working with brands, the process of flipping, where to find the best pieces, all those kinds of things that I'll be talking about in these different podcasts. If there are certain areas that you want to learn more about, then you can, find these mini courses and they just kind of hone in on one specific topic, if that makes sense. So today I'm talking about the process of flipping. And so again, when I created the mini courses, I wanted to really focus on the questions that I get asked the most. And so I wanted to put in all the information to help answer those questions that I get the most. And so inside this mini course, I'm talking about there's definitely, the process of flipping doesn't just have to mean putting paint on a piece of furniture. To be completely honest, there's so much more about it and it's so much more involved that that isn't just it. So I know a lot of people think that's it, but to have a successful furniture flipping, side hustle or full-time, job as a furniture flipper, there's definitely a process of flipping the right way to do it successfully to get the most money. So inside this mini course, you will learn all about my plan A, B, and C. So flipping furniture is all about being flexible, because what your first plan is never, I shouldn't say is never, like it has happened before, but a lot of times it's not always going to come out exactly like you had in plan A. So I definitely talk about the plan B and C inside this mini course, because if you don't start out with that mindset and with that knowledge, you're going to be frustrated and mad right from the get-go, and it's not going to be fun. The process, flipping furniture is fun. There is so many things you can learn. There are so many things you can learn. And every project is going to bring about something different, which is, if you are a creative person, which I am assuming you are, it just feeds your creative soul, because it's constantly changing. It's constantly new. There's constantly, things to work through or think about, it's just an entire creative process. So you need to have that flexible mindset going into it. And just know that plan A, B, and C are so, so important. You will also learn how to choose a style. So this is definitely something that you will kind of learn on your journey. But if you can learn it from the get-go, it's going to take out a lot of guesswork in your process and really help you hone in on something a little bit more specific and grow your business around what you love to do, instead of trying to copy or trying to do what other flippers are doing that you're watching. Like, you're going to find your thing. You're going to find what you are good at. You're going to find what makes you stand out. And so I teach you how to do that inside this course. And so then I get into the nuts and bolts of the actual process of flipping. There's videos on how to clean a piece. That is probably one of my number one asked questions, about the actual process. And yes, I don't care what piece you're flipping. I don't care if it came from your, OCD aunt's house that dusts and cleans, every day. You have to clean your piece, and there is definitely a way to do it the right way. And so I go over that inside this mini course. I go in about how to prep the piece. Every single piece you are doing needs to be prepped. And again, there is a process for doing that. And even if the paint that you're using says, oh, you don't even have to prep it, you don't even have to do this, you don't even have to do that, Yes, you should, to get the best outcome in the end, right? And you want happy customers in the end who you're selling these pieces to. So prepping is a huge part of the flipping process, and it's a part that you can't look past. And then I go into the paint process. So this is if you're obviously painting a piece of furniture. I go over how that is, different ways you can apply paint, the way to paint the piece after you've done the cleaning, after you've done the prepping, and then you get into the paint. And then lastly, inside this mini course, I do the top coat / finishes. So these are videos, and I kind of show you the process, different ways to make it easier. This is it's the cleaning and the end top coat are the two, two of the most asked questions I get about the actual flipping process. Do I use a top coat? When should I use a top coat? What kind of top coat do I use? Do you use a shiny top coat? Do you use a matte top coat? Like, all of those questions are constantly asked. And so I wanted to make sure that I put that inside this kind of process of flipping mini course, because it's a huge part. And when you're selling a piece, you want to make sure that it's as durable as it can be for the person for your customer, for who's buying it. And so that's definitely, top coat and finishes. Those are two things that I talk about inside this furniture or the flipping process, because a top coat can also be a wax or a glaze. It just depends on what you're doing, the look you're going for, the style you're going for. But it's kind of like the finishing, the end, application that I talk about inside this process of flipping. So just like with any of the mini courses that I've talked about here on the podcast, we are giving the podcast listeners a coupon code for each of these mini courses that I am talking about. Check the show notes for that coupon code. And again, if you would share this podcast with anybody who is flipping, wants to learn how to flip, wants to start flipping, wants to start making some money flipping, please share this podcast. I really want to get in front of as many flippers as I can so we can help them save time, money, and effort on every flip, and just from the get-go, so they're not wasting, any of those things, and just getting the process done right and being successful in it in the end. So if you have any questions, if you have any flipping questions, always reach out to me. You can reach out to me on email, lindsay@mycreativedays.com. You can also reach out to me on Instagram. If you have any other questions about these mini courses that I've talked about, you want to know if they're right for you, please reach out to me. On Instagram, it's @mycreativedays. I would love to answer your questions because, if you have any questions, if these mini courses are for you, I have talked about I have a private community where I coach furniture flippers every month on growing their businesses. So that is something too. If you have questions about that, please reach out to me, email or Instagram. I'd be happy to answer those questions. And until next time, I hope you have a great day. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I am grateful that you tune in every week and that you share the show with your family and friends. I love having creative chit chats with you, and my hope is that this podcast will inspire you to try a new project, start a DIY that you've been putting off, and decorate your home exactly how you want it. There are a few ways you can help us with the podcast. Follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you could take a few minutes to leave the podcast a review, that would help us so much. Again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to our chat next week. Bye-bye.